welcome to the Bowlers Union podcast. Today's episode, we are going to be talking all about trialling. We're going to give you some do's and don'ts. We're probably going to share some funny stories because there are quite a few funny stories that tend to happen around keen trialists and things like that. But first of all, Keith, how are you getting on today, mate?
Not too bad. As you can probably tell, my voice is a little bit croaky. I've had a bit of an itchy throat and it's just not sounding great. So forgive me if I do sound a bit squeamish at times.
No, it's all good. It's better than it was yesterday when we chatted on the phone. So, what do you think of my moustache, by the way?
It's looking more and more Turkish-like.
Yeah, I'm following on with this bit of country music trend that's kind of going around social media, and I think I've fallen for the algorithm a bit, and I've so now I've got going backwards cap, moustache, this kind of stuff. It really is a sight, isn't it? If you watch it on YouTube, you're probably getting to see it in all its glory, which you won't.
Is that because you moved that towards the country? You're trying to be a little bit different now. You know, like you were trying to slag me off when I moved. Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't, to be honest. I just fancied it, giving it a go. The lads enjoy it at Leicester, so that gives me. If I'm giving them energy, that gives me energy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So we're obviously going to talk about trialists, what we class as do's and don'ts. What we're going to start off with, the what we've seen. So probably avoid these certain things. Yeah, I think that's logical. I mean, I think what I would say before we get into it, though, is the reality is this is the path for most bowlers, isn't it? Like, there's not many bowlers out there that have the perfect transition from, county age groups into the academy, then on into second team, and then on into first team. The reality is, at some point, most people have to be invited to a second team game or a net, and they've got one, hopefully a couple of opportunities to impress all the coaches and all the players that are there. So it's a valuable one. I think we've got a lot to offer people. So,
is there anything that you've noticed yourself that trialists have done? I've got one that comes straight to mind, but I'll hold back and wait for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're starting with don'ts, right?
Yeah.
Don't be late. There you go. That is literally the number one thing in all of sport, I reckon, is do not be late. You've got, and I don't know why you would want to be late and why you'd be cutting it fine anyway. So as a trialist, you need to get to where you got to be. You got to be there half an hour before the time that you're told to be there. So if you're told 10 o'clock, which typically you would, with your 10 o'clock start, get there at 9:30, check in with the coach or whoever you had, your dialogue with or whatever. They'll show you the ropes. They'll probably point you towards someone lurking around like me or you and say, I'll show you where to go. And basically then you've probably got to get ready, haven't you? Maybe you might even start warming up and stuff.
Well, this depends, because if you are a bowler and you're rocking up just to bowl, some clubs will use you as just a bowler. You're on trial, but they are looking at you just to maybe rock up and bowl. So you've got to impress from pretty early. So there might be a time when you actually get there and you just warm up on your own. But sometimes it can be within a team environment where they're going to warm up as a group before then going off to do fielding or then having a net. But that's the one thing I'd say is you make sure you're ready, because sometimes I think some lads come on trial and they're not ready to bowl, and they're then told, right, if you can be ready to bowl in the next 10 minutes, and you can see them panic quite a bit and try and do as many things as possible to get warm, and they're kind of flying around too quickly before they're ready to bowl, and they're probably not in the right mindset to bowl without the other pressures on it. The biggest thing, or the funniest thing I've seen is, and this is for trialists listening, or lads who have trialled, and they'll know they've done it themselves. I've seen it when I was football and within cricket, is no one's bothered how well you warm up. You're not judged on how high your knee. If your knees are higher pumping than anyone else's, or your heel flicks are faster than anyone else's. You do get some bowlers who think, if I just outshine everyone at everything I do, that will get me signed. The real thing is you're going to get judged off is how you bowl. That's what you're there for. You might be there just as a net bowler, but if you bowl well enough, a team are not going to just ignore you and go, oh, well, he was a great bowler. See you later. So the biggest don't for me is don't try and impress in the warm-up. Do what you need to do if you're in a group environment, but don't think that that's going to help you, because it's not. If anything, people see what you're doing and like, God, he's over keen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's an interesting trap that you can fall into, actually. So thinking about it, you want to get there early, and you want to, basically, you don't know what that warm-up is going to be like that a team does. And every team will have their own version of a warm-up or something like that. And some are harder than others, right? So if you rock up into an unknown environment and rely on the random team's warm-up to get you warm, it could finish you. Like, I played last year for Cumbria, which was brilliant, great fun. It was a bit of minor counties, 50 over cricket while the T20 was on.
Yeah.
So rocked up, obviously early, done a bit of foam rolling and all sorts of stuff like that. And they did quite a hard warm-up compared to our Leicester one. It was like quite a bit of it had a big conditioning emphasis in it. And I remember feeling it a bit in my quads before going out there, because it was like my first game with them. I wanted to press. Yeah, I was flagging. And then by the end of the game, I was 8 overs in, I had 2 more overs. I was a bit tired. I was like, whoa, geez, the quads are aching from all that sort of running at the start. So I think you've got to, like you say, you've got to kind of do what you need to do before you go off into this team warm-up dynamic, and then don't blow your load in the team warm-up, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you say, you're there to do your bowling. So yeah, that's a good bit of advice you're given there. The other one is you have to do the team warm-up.
Yes.
You can't not do the team warm-up and stand over in the corner. Do you see what I mean? So
yeah,
you've got to have done your stuff before, and then you've actually got to try and integrate in with the team or the environment that you're in. So you've got to join in. That's fair, because I've seen people not do that, and it kind of feels a bit weird. I don't know what you think.
No, I agree. And also with that is, obviously, if you do your own warm-up, which I think is a good bit of advice, is you don't want to take it too far, because you, like you say, you do not have a clue what they have in store in their warm-up at all. And sometimes I think lads warm up for too long to show how they can be professional, and that might have taken them half an hour. And like, right now we're in team warm-up, and depending on what the S&C's got planned that morning, you might feel like you're into a third spell by the time you start bowling. So that's, yeah, I agree totally. And also, normally when you're in the nets, I would say, as a trialist, you never first up to bowl.
Yeah.
You always the first team bowlers, and then the opening bowlers first, and then boys who are going to come on first, second change, and then maybe the opening bowlers again. So you might only bowl towards the end of that net. So doing everything you can early on, you could then be standing there for a good hour and a half before you actually need to do something. So don't go too hell for leather, because you could be standing there and get cold again. So you've got to kind of try and manage that right, and then keep yourself active while the other first teamer or the team's bowlers are bowling, and make sure you're ready to bowl when you're called upon.
You're spot on there. This is where, you know what? Information is power. Like, if you can get there early, and you can find out. Most teams, well, certainly Leicestershire do, I'm sure Hampshire would, they'll have a board somewhere, and it will display who's doing what.
Yeah.
You try and see that first, because the chances are, you're right, you're not going to bowl straight away. You're going to be toward the back end, probably bowling at, the all-rounders and the lower middle order and bowlers and stuff. However, if you can see where you are on that board, you can tailor everything you do perfectly, rather than guessing. No, you're spot on, mate.
With that, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
And I think it'll lead into what I want to talk about next. Is If you are then bowling at the lower order to bowlers, you're desperate to try and get signed, aren't you? So how would you bowl yourself at what potentially could end up being your teammates if you bowl well enough to get signed? How would you bowl?
It's been a long time. I only really know one way to bowl, Keith, and that's to try hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does make me. I've got a funny story, which I can tell in a minute. But ultimately, you forget who you're bowling at, and you're trying to knock the top of off stump out of the ground, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? And we might differ here in our view, but you shouldn't be easing into it. You should be making an impression straight away.
Yeah.
And there's no way to make a coach less impressed than if a trialist is bowling at someone like me and I'm on the front foot playing drives and all this sort of stuff. So the bowlers should not be hopping around, but they shouldn't look great. You know what I mean? They should look like bowling at them. That's for sure.
No, I agree, because you need to attract the eye straight away. You might only have a short window where the bowling coach is watching you, or the head coach or the director of cricket. So you need to make an impact pretty quickly to show that you can. So you have to almost show what you've got straight away. So yeah, I wouldn't be just trying to hit top of off. I'd have to be trying to utilize my skills, come round the wicket, try and show that I've got different skills. If you haven't got them, don't try it, because you can end up looking stupid. So you want to keep it simple as possible. But if you can be creative and come around the wicket or show your innie, and almost set people up a little bit, do that, because that's something that's going to get people talking a little bit.
No, again, I'm just thinking like a typical net scenario. There'll be a pair of batters, won't there? And you'll have 3 balls, and then they'll swap. Do you know what I mean? So do what every bowler does, and try and bowl your setup ball, ball. Standard away, wobble. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a good idea to show a little bit. So for example, you're probably going to bowl at 2 pairs, maybe. So like if you've got a left-hander, and let's say you bowl at 2 right-handers, and you've got it going through nicely, whatever you're doing. Yeah, have a little go around. Just like you say, show you've got it. The odd short ball, just again, show you've got it. I think this is definitely an area where ball speed is quite key in a net, isn't it, to make an impression? Yeah,
this is something I think is quite important. Don't bowl no balls.
Oh really? What in the nets?
You can look as quick as you want, but if, let's say, you do have a batsman hopping around and they're in rotation with another batsman, aren't they?
Yeah.
If you've got a batter, whether they're a bowler that's batting or they're a batter that's batting, they may feel like, gosh, he's on me a little bit. If they see your front foot, this is what I've realised, if they see your front foot in front of that front line, they'll be like, yeah, but he's in front of the line though, isn't he? Because there is maybe a chance of embarrassment there for them.
Yes.
So they want to, show that actually you won't be as quick if you weren't bowling from in front of the line. I mean, some trials you see the bowling literally from, it seems like 19 yards away. They're that far ahead. And that can discredit you a little bit, even if you are bowling well, because it's not legit. You're not going to bowl like that in a game. And everyone knows you're trying to impress, but you're pushing the line way too far. Just do the basics right and do them well.
No, you're spot on, because actually, when I think about it, and I won't name names here, but even at our net, sometimes there are bowlers who might push the line more, and batters do cotton onto it, and they'll vocalise it, especially if the net's spicy or it's doing a bit. They'll vocalise it. They won't say anything if it's flat and they're batting well. But again, we're talking about batters here, so they like to have a little whinge if they can, and that is exactly when they will.
And actually, sometimes they don't even vocalise it. What they'll do when they're at the bowler's end and they'll see it's a no ball, you just see the arm raise for no ball.
Yeah.
Just to let everyone know. So yeah, that's another thing I I would not do. I'd been a trialist. I was a trialist at Warwickshire when I came on trial, and obviously younger then, and the group were a bit different. It was very much kind of they didn't want to integrate with me. It was kind of one lad I knew who I played with when I was playing age group stuff, but I think he was a bit worried because he just avoided me.
Who was that?
Miller. He just like avoided me totally. So one thing I'd say is don't get caught up in trying to fit in and be mates with everyone. You're there on trial. If you're in a game, you're there on trial. Just do what you need to do. Focus on what you need to do. And the other thing I learned this was from football. I was so tense playing, and I heard over so many years when people would get released, they knew they were getting released before the season, and all of a sudden you see them play a lot better because there wasn't the pressure anymore. It didn't matter if they didn't make a certain run or if they were offside. They'd just play, and they actually played better. So when I came on trial for Warwickshire, my thing was, I shouldn't even really be here because I failed in another sport, right? But I've got this opportunity. I'm just going to do the best I can. I'm not worrying if I don't get signed, what's it matter? Because I made this choice to go for football and I've got a trial at cricket. Whatever happens, happens. And I think that took some pressure off me and helped me perform. And I think what can happen is lads can get so tense when they're on bowling, they actually forget what they're good at, and they're more worried about, I need to get this right, and this might be the only opportunity in the next 6 months. I need to be on it. And that can take away from their actual things they're good at because they're applying too much pressure to themselves. They've got to try and do what they've done that's got them there, got them that opportunity, and just go for it. Give it what they've got.
Yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, you want to throw some punches, don't you? Because like you say, if there's pressure on anyone, in reality, it should be on the professionals because at that point, you, in my opinion, as a professional, you're committed to achieving a certain standard all the time. Whereas, like I say, if you're a trialist, you're aspiring to get there. You haven't got anything to lose at that point. You know, you're not a professional yet, so absolutely go for it. No, you're dead right. I did have a point a minute ago. It's just slipped my mind, which is really frustrating. And it was to do with that's it, volume of bowling. So I think something I do see now in younger players and stuff, and this isn't a rant, I'll be young or anything, or generational thing. However, as sports science and all these things have got better, younger players and trialists are really aware of professional concepts, so to speak, of like workloads, how many overs they should bowl and whatnot. So what I would say to someone trialing is be prepared to bowl all day for an uncomfortable amount of time. So arrive and assume you're going to bowl for at least an hour non-stop, and actually be prepared to, because it's a chance to show off what you can do. The professional bowlers there will probably be bowling somewhere between 4 and 7 overs maybe, and then they'll be done because their workloads are being strictly monitored.
Yeah.
So my advice would be for a trialist is you're not a professional yet. So if let's say someone was training with you and you bowl 4 overs because you've got a game coming up in a couple of days and that's all you want to do, they've got to be like, right, I'll step in, hand up, or they'll either keep going and basically just keep going and show that great attitude. Because I think, yeah, you don't want to miss an opportunity because you're thinking, oh, you know what, I'm only going to bowl my 5 overs here because I don't want to overdo it. I'm like, you should be going for it.
Just thinking out loud here, if someone was going on trial, let's say, what day is it now? It's Tuesday for us, isn't it now? Let's say next Monday, a friend you knew was going on trial. How many overs would you try and tell them to have in the bank before that Monday? And when would they stop? So would you have them play on a Saturday, or would you, do you know what I mean? Or would you tell them, look, if you get your overs up to a certain point, bowl so many on Saturday, and then?
With me, I do everything as normal in terms of the bowling I was already doing. So if I was a club player and I was having a trial, I would do everything as normal. I'd bowl. Yeah, I wouldn't even think about the trial until immediately after the game on a Saturday. and then I would be recovering like an absolute machine that night and on the Sunday, and then I would be prepared to basically have a proper all-dayer in the nets. That's how I go about it, I think.
Obviously, this is not a luxury for everyone to be able to do, but I can't think of anything worse than this. If you are a trialist and you are trialing somewhere that's 2 hours away, as an example, if you have the funds to get a hotel or just somewhere that you can stay the night before that's closer to the actual wherever you're going to be training, do it. Because to actually ask your body to be sat in a car early morning for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it may be, and then expect to get out and be able to bowl at your best to impress someone, you've got another thing coming. There's no way it's not going to end well in my eyes.
Yeah, no, you're right. Completely agree. And the chances are, the cricket world's like a good community, isn't it? Like, there's a chance you've got a mate in the area, even if you're on a sofa, even if you're on Darren Chopra's sofa and he's charging you £7 a night. You know what I mean? Yeah, you've got to do it. But I tickled you.
To be fair, he needed it. To be fair, didn't he?
Yeah, I can sleep better. But yeah, you're right. It's try and get yourself close, and if you can't, then just get there early, and at least have a, you know what I mean, get out the car and move around a lot before you're training. No, you're spot on there. I'm trying to think of any other major do's or any major don'ts rather. So what have we got so far?
Hold on, I'm just thinking now. One. All right, so I've got a question for you. On the do's and don'ts, whatever you want to call it, on the don't. A lot of trialists will, if they get given the option of here's a bag of balls, pick one, are you going for the brand spanker, or are you going for the one that's a bit used, or what ball would you choose?
This is a really good question, because I think my answer would change. So I think if I was the trialist back when I did a bit of trialing, I would probably been quite respectful, and I would have kind of, and I think this is the right way to go, is ultimately let the professionals pick the ball first. However, ideally you'd pick a ball that you knew you could bowl with. So for example, if you love a ball that's like got the lacquer off and maybe between 10 and 30 overs old and it's got a bit of a shine, you need to be finding that. Equally, if you're a new ball specialist and you nip it everywhere, wobble seam guru, then I'd pick a brand spanker. But I think probably let the professionals pick a ball, and then perhaps ask whichever ball you see that you want, is ask the bowler who's giving it up if can I use that ball. That's how I do it. I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I probably, younger, would have probably gone, I need this opportunity, I'm going to grab the best ball I can.
Would you?
Yeah, but being on the other side of it, as a pro, it's like, right, I've been bowling with these old balls for a while, specifically for a certain reason. I just want to make sure I'm really focused on my wrist to present the seam the best I can to get the ball to move a fraction or whatever it is. So like, right, I'm going to go for a newer ball today. And you look, and the trialist has got the brand spanker or got a really good condition ball, and all that's left is dog balls. And you're like, I don't know if you realise, mate, but I'm a bit of a big deal. No, so you end up looking for a ball, you're like, I can't believe. And then into times, it's like, well, he's got this newer ball, this trialist, and he's not even bowling first. Chuck us that ball, mate, and we'll share it.
This has got me onto, this is amazing, right? So at the minute, I think of the Leicestershire squad. We've obviously got a former teammate of yours, Scriv.
Yeah.
So this is a few years ago, and it was amazing. So when we were picking balls to bowl with, like you say, most people are respectful, so it tends to be the openers will grab a new ball, and then the change bowls will look for something slightly older and stuff. Anyway, Scriv always pick a ball and it would be like 10 to 30 overs old, and like clockwork, Fonz would come up to him with a dog ball and just look at Scriv would end up with this orange, and it was so funny. Like, look at me and Ed Barnes and be like constantly just get given the absolute rag of a ball to bowl with. But it's obviously changed now because he's.
Well, yeah, but that was also needed, because that's like no, earn your right. You've got to learn to bowl with this ball, because you probably are going to bowl with this ball more times than something newer. Once you've done that and you're doing well in games, you'll get something that's newer. You'll appreciate it more. So I get that. That's brilliant. I'd love to have seen Scriv's face.
Honestly, you message him, because it's quite a funny joke now. Every time, even now, I look at what he's bowling with, I'll kind of give him the eye. Like, is that you for you, Tom? But you're right. With the ball section, I think your best bet is not normally. Again, I'm only going from Leicestershire. So if someone were to try at Leicestershire, there would be 4 seamers potentially operating, each with a ball, and then there would be another round of seamers about half an hour after, and the first seamers would give their balls to the next group of seamers.
Yeah.
So really, you want to kind of, you know what I mean, try and get one that you like there, and it won't be brand new. It will be quite an easy thing. You won't have a brand new one to pick from. Here's something in terms of trialists or trialing the whole process. It can be a nervy one, but actually now I look back on it, there isn't a lot for trialists to be nervous about. And I understand, of course, you feel like there is. However, most of the time, if you rock up in a net environment, no one likes batting in nets. I haven't ever met anybody that likes batting in nets, not even batters. Do you know what I mean? So actually, if you're there as a bowler net, no one really wants to be facing you. If you run in and you're like nipping it about and you've got energy on the ball, you've got a good attitude, you use the odd short one. To be honest, I think people will be surprised how easy it is to make an impression.
Yeah.
And how you can dominate a net, actually.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I mean, I think just from observing when I've seen trialists, especially over the last few years being at Hampshire, as long as you if you have express pace, massive attraction. If you don't, as long as you're accurate, you've got a chance. You've got a decent chance. Accurate, and you show a bit of skill. It's not as difficult what you may think to get the opportunity. But it's when, and I've had it where I've come into bat and I'm facing someone with a red ball, and it's almost like you feel like they're trying to bowl death overs in a T20 game. Like, it's a full toss, it's a Yorker, it's a drag down bounce, and you're like, this is so inconsistent. I can't even get rhythm with what we're trying to play here. That's when people will switch off from even watching your bowl, because they're like, this is, God knows what this is going to be. So as long as you actually either have something about you with a bit of pace, or you're accurate and have skill and control, that's ticking a lot of boxes.
Nice.
And I will say this as well, is that coaches will talk to other coaches to give you an opportunity if you can't get in at that club. Because word gets round, we're looking for a left armour, or we've got this left armour now. This who's on trial. He was on trial, or he did play with you lot for a little bit. What was he like? And word gets round, he's a good bowler. Just we had these certain bowlers here, so he couldn't fit in. But he's actually got good skill, good heart, whatever. Keeps coming back, steams in all day for you. Tick those boxes, and word gets round, and you will get another opportunity where it might work in your favour somewhere else.
So here's an example of a trialist recently. Is we had at Leicestershire a guy called Mikey Finan, who's now at Northants.
Yeah.
And he played out exactly how we're talking here. So Mikey's a friendly guy, Mikey, right? He's a good lad. So he's good at football. So we had a team warm-up, had a bit of football. He was decent. Immediately caught the eye because the lads like a bit of football. So then, you know what I mean? It's kind of he was there. He did what he had to do. And basically, he came in, at the bowlers, and he bowled quick. I remember being like, I don't really fancy this. And he just ran in hard and kept it simple. And that combined with his kind of good nature or whatever, and he got signed off the back of it, really. I'm sure most teams are constantly looking at bowlers, aren't they, in terms of trialing? Like, what's the word?
I almost think when anyone's talking about you, especially as a trialist, when your name's floating in conversation, if you can get people to be talking about you as a bowler before you as a person, that states something. If it's stating something good. Oh, I've been looking at this person. Oh, he can bowl, and he's a great lad. Like, that's a massive tick, because the first thing that comes out of someone's mouth as an opinion is you're actually very good at what we're talking about. Or even if it's he's a great lad and he's a very good bowler, but when they talk about he's a great lad and he's a funny lad, or I tell you, he's always like moping around a little bit, but he's a bit of a laugh. Like, if someone's talking to someone else about cricket and your name's involved and they're talking about you in a bantery, lovely lad, but then you're making life more difficult for yourself. So emphasize on your bowling and get that in conversations where people are talking about that first and how good it is.
What if you rocked up somewhere and you had a choice of who to bowl at? Would you ideally bowl at the best batters, or would you just bowl at the back of a net? Do you know what I mean? If you could bowl at batters instead of the bowlers,
I'd rather bowl at batters.
Yeah.
If I'm trialing, or just me in general.
If you were trialing,
batters, because especially most captains are batters, aren't they? So you might come across a captain who goes, this lad can bowl.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then your foot's almost halfway through the door.
No, I agree with you. Come on then, Keith. Let's have a funny trialist story.
Oh, right. He ended up signing for us, so I'm not going to say his name, but just how he went about things was quite funny, because he was quite out there, quite outspoken, had his opinions, had a different way of bowling to most. He ended up signing for us, and we always thought a bit of not an odd cat, but just had a different way of living and seeing things to everyone else. And we went out to Barbados pre-season, and it was told by Ashley Giles, everyone take care of the skin. I want you wearing sunblock. Make sure you don't want anyone burning and not being able to play because they're too sore, or what, skin's too sore. And this lad decided that he would not do that, because he said he's got a master plan. And he'll go red for the first 4 days, like a lobster, and then he'll start to add a little bit like factor 15, and then he browns. He knows how to do it. By day 5, he couldn't go outside. He was burnt to a crisp, peeling all over, and that just didn't help his case, because he'd signed, but he'd signed pretty quickly after being on trial for not a long time. So it's like, you're still new. People are trying to figure you out, and you just look stupid. And then we played a 50-over game. And he's signalled to 12th. He's like waving. He's like giving it the towel.
Yeah.
Like shape with the hand, circular motion of face, towel. So they've gone to the 12th man, run a drink out and a towel to him round at fine leg, because he was mid-bowling. And it was a warmish day. Not too hot, it was warm. And he's drying his face, and then he's like drying his chest, and then he goes down like to his to like his waist, and he's drying all around in between his legs. And you're like, what's he doing? All right. Chucks the 12th his towel back. A towel, he holds it. And you see him just drop it. He drops it. Like, what are you doing? Like, and he jogs back over, literally from the other side of the pitch at Edgbaston. 12th man jogs back over, shaking his head in disbelief. Towel left there. Like, what's wrong? He's like, he says, he asks for a towel, thinking, oh, it's because he's sweating and stuff. But no. It's it is like to have a piss. Down a fine leg, just stood there, pretending to stretch his groins, and just decided to pee down his leg.
That's outrageous.
And and afterwards, when he was questioned about it, okay, can you tell us what you were thinking there? He said, well, they do it in Sri Lanka because it's so hot. Like, you dry within like 2 hours. Like, yeah, but this is not Sri Lanka, and you could have just gone off, and we could have got 12 man on. Just didn't help himself, and it left people a bit uncomfortable.
Jesus, yeah, that's full on. That's not what you shouldn't stand on the side and wet yourself if you're trialing, should you? That's not gonna go down too well. My funniest trialist story was basically played out exactly like the next scenario we've pretty much discussed this whole podcast. So basically, me and Ollie Hannon Dalby are paired up to bat, and it's like those centre wicket nets. You know, when you're in the indoor school at Edgbaston, and they just put a lane up in the middle of the school, and you have a net either side. Yeah. So the batters have done their thing. You know, you and Clarkie have done your thing, and it's down to me and Ollie. And in the corner was this 6'7" behemoth. Right, he was an absolute massive unit. So me and Ollie, oh my god, you know, and he basically he was trialing as a bowler. And he was just doing med ball slams non-stop, like into the nets. The whole. Have you seen the film Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yes.
It was like Tong Po. Like the whole indoor school was shaking when he was slamming balls and stuff. But he's doing this a long time, so he'd been there for probably an hour and a half and just kind of warmed up for an hour and a half. Like, we kind of advised maybe not to.
Yeah.
Ollie are like, what on earth is coming our way here? We're terrified. We've never seen this bloke before. So, there's the whole unknown. It's not like we're facing someone we know where we can maybe get a bit of rhythm. We know we're going to get the odd one round ahead or whatever. It's just complete unknown. So anyway, he starts doing all these slams, and me and Ollie are like panicking. So we play paper, scissors, rock to see who'd face the first ball. I won it. So Ollie's down there. Ollie's doing his, like, you know what he's like? He's like all lanky and tapping the floor, and then he's like bobbing his head. This bloke's run in, immaculate action. He's done all the online training programs. He's running in like Brett Lee, presenting the scene, pumping his arms, veins throbbing. And he's literally gone vroom, and bowled probably like an 85-mile-an-hour beamer at Ollie's head. So Ollie, he didn't get hit, but he's on the floor like an absolute. He's gone, right? This bloke's obviously quite upset that the first ball he's bowled. Ollie's panicking. I'm there in disbelief, but just pleased that I won paper, scissors, rock. So anyway, Ollie like peels himself off the floor, and then this bloke, obviously, it's one of those where you bowl one, another bowler bowls one. So Ollie's kind of faced the next ball, and then the big lad's ready to go again. And basically, that's kind of the story. But the big lad, he yipped up Ollie. So Ollie then proceeded to get out like 5 times because he was literally, his pants were full. Let's just say that. This bloke just ran in. So the bowler was scared of the fact he bowled a beamer. So he kind of just floated it up there and put it on a spot. And Ollie was panicking. So Ollie then proceeded to get out like 4 times. It was just unbelievable viewing. When you're like, what? Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling I remember that. I wasn't there, but I remember the guy you're on about. I remember there was a real big strapping trialist there. I think, yeah.
Guy, big blonde unit, looked like a Nordic dog. That was funny. That was funny.
Going back, so just the with the do's.
Yeah.
Have we actually mentioned quite a few do's, or have we just kind of mixed it in?
I think we should work through it again quickly and summarise what we should be doing. So you started off, in my opinion. So correct me if I'm wrong. If you're trialing, let's assume you're trialing for a training day. I mean, but it would apply to a game. If you can stay, or if you need to stay near the location the night before, so you feel fresh.
Yeah, that'd be the first one. Then second one would be, like you've said, arrive at half an hour earlier than what you're told to.
Yeah.
And if you get told nets are at 10, get there for 9. Because that means warm-ups are going to be somewhere 8:30 or be whatever it is. Don't rock up cold. So make sure you're there earlier. So you want to be seen as keen in the right way. And then from that, with the warm-ups, don't overdo it. Just do enough to keep yourself warm. Do the team warm-up as well. But expect you're not going to bowl straight away. So you need to keep yourself active. If there's somewhere that you can actually go on bowl, just to not go in full pelt, but groove your run up in your action, just to keep yourself warm, do it. Take that pressure off. It sounds it's obviously easier said than done, but you don't want to look back and go, I just was too nervous.
Yeah,
I was just too nervous to bowl the way I know I can bowl. And I've one lad who I've played with at Moseley, Yadi Singh. I say Singh might not be his last name. I've totally forgotten. Yadi. He's now at Worcester, but the way he's bowled at Moseley over the years, from what I've seen, has been outstanding. And I've said to him, when you go to Worcester, just make sure you bowl with the same intent. Don't worry. Don't feel you have to just put it there now and try and just hit a good area. You hit a good area naturally. Give it everything you've got. And I say that to any trial issues. Give it everything you've got. Don't over try where you're just trying 150% every ball, because that's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, you said this before, haven't you, on the podcast about bowl the ball. And then, let's be honest, nothing good happens when you try and place a ball into an area. You've got to be in the area hard. Yeah, 100% agree with you there. 100%. Sorry.
No, so those are the things that I would say the main things to focus on. If you get option to choose a ball, probably let the others pick first and then try and see what's a good ball, and whoever's got one, say, do you mind if I share that with you or rotate with you? So at least then, you stand on the right side of the fence with making sure you're not being a certain way. I'm trying to think what else.
Look after the ball. If you do share a ball, that should get noticed. I'd notice that.
Yeah, that gives you more credit in the bank. The fact that, all right, you may kind of damage the ball, whatever, but if you are quick to repair it and make sure you look after it, and you hand it back to the coach or the bowler that you've given it from, there's a little bit of respect from that you'll get from doing that.
Yeah, no, totally. Bowl at the best bat as you can. Option, it might not be an option, but if you can, it's worth doing, definitely. It looks good, doesn't it, when someone makes a first impression at a high level? So for flipping it round, I remember you telling me about the first time you saw Sam Hain bat, and it was against all the first team bowlers, and he came in and had a brilliant net. Flip it round, bowl the best bat as you can, impress them, nick them off, bowl them out, whatever, use a short ball, and make them think, oh, Jesus, he can bowl.
Yeah. Get the players walking away from that net talking about you if you can.
Not just bowling a beamer, though.
Yeah, not from bowling a flat one. Yeah.
Anything else?
Trying to think now.
What would you do in terms of at the end of a session? Would you should coach and just sort of say thanks for having me?
Yeah, thanks for having me. But also while you're there, chat to the bowlers, as in ask questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions. So we've got like Mohammed Abbas, we've got Kyle Abbott and Michael Nesser here, and a lot of the times the trialists will come and just speak to our bowler, just ask the odd question, and he's more than happy. I think most bowlers are happy to talk about bowling, and you might just get a really good tip from them that can help you. So ask questions when the time's right. Ask what they think of your bowling, where you can improve. Any information is better than none.
Yeah, I agree with you. You might get something that you already know or that's a bit generic, but equally, if you don't ask, you don't get. You might get an absolute gem that you just never thought of.
Yes.
Especially with bowlers of that caliber. And like you say, if when people are good at something, quite often they're happy to chat about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? More often than not. It's not often that you get people who are like secretive. Not in cricket. I don't know if that's the case in other areas, but yeah. Bowlers are good group of people as well, typically, aren't they?
They are. Yeah. They really are. I think because it's just the physical stress for a bowler, isn't it? Mental stress, not as much as what batters deal with.
Yeah, and that's fundamentally why we're a better group of people, because we haven't got those
demons.
We haven't got the red mist and got that. What's the word I'm looking for? Demons is a good word. Perfect word. We haven't got those demons. The bowlers tend to be approachable with a good group. and humble. So I just get chatting, run in hard and enjoy it. Anything else that we discuss?
No, man. Well, I think that's it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no. I think that was good fun. Bit of fun there, but actually really practical. And this is, let's be honest, like we said earlier, this is the chances are this is the way you're going to get into the professional game, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
It's actually more likely that this is the route for probably 75% of professionals, I'd say. That might not be true. I might have just completely made that figure up. But
yeah, but you know, it might not be far off.
True.
End of the day, we've all been trialists at some point, no matter what. So, yeah.
Right. Let's wrap it up then, Keith. What an episode. Who's doing the music today? Are you doing it or is it me?
I'll do it because you really do mess it up.
Yeah, it's not my point. But listen, everyone, that was hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. Like, follow, and subscribe. Yeah, and if you think that someone else would like the episode, then please share it. Take it easy.
Cheers. Bye.
See ya.